Good afternoon, everyone. For my last speech, I'm going to talk about why it is important to have prayer and Christian morals in public schools. Imagine a school environment where, in addition to learning math and science, students are also taught responsibility, respect, and reverence. What if these values, once essential to our education system, were reintroduced to help shape the character of our future leaders? The moral environment of our school doesn't just impact the students, it influences families and communities today. I'm here to talk about the case that integrating voluntary prayer and Christian moral teachings in public schools could be the solution. In this speech, I will explore the historical and moral value of prayer in schools, the current rise of Christian-based policies in public education, and how we can implement these practices while respecting constitutional rights. For my first point of historical and moral value in prayer in schools, let's start with history. Franklin Graham, in his article of the U.S. Department of Education, reflects on his own upbringing and how schools once emphasized the 3 R's: respect, responsibility, and reverence. These principles, which helped shape strong moral foundations, were often anchored in prayer. It's important to remember that for generations, prayer in schools wasn't just about religion. It was a practice that reinforced character, development, and discipline. Graham also points out that moral instruction, such as the teaching of the 10 Commandments, was seen as essential for shaping the character of students in earlier generations. When we consider the values that are often missing from today's classrooms, values like respecting others and personal responsibility, reintroducing prayer could be an important step in restoring them. Second main point is Christianity and prayer are increasing in public schools today. As we think about this, it's worth noting that prayer and Christian influences in public schools are on the rise again. According to the Education Week, many states are now promoting policies that reflect Christian values, such as posting the 10 Commandments in classrooms, allowing voluntary prayer, and even offering Bible literacy programs. This shift indicates growing political and legal supporting for religious expression in schools. These developments are more than just a trend. They represent an opportunity to reintroduce moral structure and community values back into the educational system. Schools can become places that not only teach academic subjects, but also nurture the moral and ethical development of students, making them better citizens and more responsible members of society. Point number 3, responsible implementation that respects diversity and constitutional rights. But here's the key. If prayer and religious expressions are to return to our schools, it must be done responsibly. The U.S. Department of Education is clear that students have the constitutional right to pray in schools, individually or in groups, provided it is voluntary and not school-sponsored. As long as prayer remains student-led and optional, it does not violate the separation of church and state. A responsible approach means prayer should be voluntary, inclusive, and open to all beliefs. It is important to emphasize this isn't about forcing religion on anyone, but about giving students the freedom to express their faith in a respectful and non-forceful way. In fact, Franklin Graham encourages parents and communities to get involved in schools, supporting efforts through PTA meetings, school boards, and volunteer opportunities to help guide the moral development of children. Schools could offer optional programs that promote values such as service, community involvement, and respect, values shared by many belief systems, not just one. For a counter-argument, some may argue that Christian prayer in schools violates the separation of church and state and could alienate students who don't share the same beliefs, but address this directly. Federal guidelines explicitly state that voluntary student prayer is constitutionally protected, as long as it is not school-sponsored or harmful. This means that promoting optional faith-based activities doesn't equate to government-mandated religion. Furthermore, respecting individual choice and maintaining a voluntary approach ensures that everyone is included, allowing for moral development without excluding anyone. Prayer, in this context, serves as a tool for personal growth, not as an imposition. To conclude, Voluntary prayer and Christian moral values have the potential to strengthen respect, responsibility, and reverence in public schools. Historically, prayer played a critical role in sharing the character of students, and today we are seeing a revival of Christian-based policies in schools, which reflects a growing recognition of the importance of moral development. The key is implementing these practices in a way that respects diversity and constitutional rights, ensuring that prayer remains voluntary, student-led, and inclusive of all beliefs. I encourage you all to engage with your local school boards, support voluntary prayer groups, and advocate for programs that promote moral values and community involvement. By welcoming faith and moral grounding in our schools, not through enforcement but through choice, we can help build stronger, more responsible individuals who will lead us. Thank you.